Welcome, listeners, to another My Mind MashUps deep dive, where we unravel mysteries, spark curiosity, and make sense of complex ideas together. So imagine this for a second. For decades, we've been pointing these huge satellite dishes at the stars, right? Listening, just listening for a signal.
For any kind of loud, obvious message, a hello from across the galaxy.
Exactly. But what if we're looking in completely the wrong place? What if contact isn't some big announcement? What if it's, I don't know, quieter, something happening inside us?
Right, through consciousness, through perception, even through our dreams. I mean, it's a huge shift in thinking.
It is, because you have whistleblowers and military pilots reporting these physical craft that are just impossible. They defy physics.
But then the people who actually experience contact up close, they almost always say the same thing. They never spoke out loud. They spoke inside my head.
And that contrast right there, the loud, impossible vehicle versus the quiet, internal message, that's the heart of our deep dive today.
We're calling it the quiet contact hypothesis. The idea that non-human intelligence, or NHI, isn't really interacting with our technology, but with our biology.
That the interaction is cognitive, perceptual. The craft might just be, I don't know, the delivery system. So before we get into the data, just a quick reminder. If you enjoy content that really makes you think, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Okay, so we have to start with the massive official shift we've seen in just the last few years. I mean, from roughly 2022 to 2025, it's been a total game changer.
For sure. For half a century, the official policy was just deny, deny, deny.
And now you have NASA holding press conferences, you have Congress holding hearings, you have top officials basically saying, okay, yes, something is out there. No, we have no idea what it is.
And that door was kicked open entirely because of credible military witnesses, right?
Yeah.
These aren't just random sightings anymore.
Not at all. You're talking about people like Commander David Fravor and the Tic Tac incident. A craft with no wings, no propulsion, that just drops, what, 80,000 feet in a second?
Or LT Ryan Graves and his squadron, seeing these things almost daily. Objects that could just sit there stationary against hurricane-force winds.
But here's the puzzle. Here's the piece that points toward that quiet contact idea.
Okay.
You have these spectacular displays of technology that are way beyond ours. They can jam our most advanced radar systems, and then they just leave.
They just vanish.
Yeah. No message, no debris recovered by ARO, the Pentagon's UAP office, nothing. It doesn't make sense if the goal is traditional communication.
So the big, flashy, physics-defying display, maybe that isn't the point at all.
Maybe it's the mechanism. Maybe it's designed to create a very specific psychological and electromagnetic state in the observer.
It's the delivery system for whatever comes next.
Exactly. And the stakes got even higher in 2023 with David Grush. I mean, here's a high-level intelligence officer under oath testifying that the government has a secret program.
A program retrieving not just non-human craft,
but non-human biologics. And that word biologics is key. It brings the focus away from just metal and machines and points it right at the human mind, at biology.
That's a perfect pivot. Because if the target is the mind, then we need to talk about the receiver. We need to talk about the brain.
Precisely. And we have to start with some, basic neuroscience. Your brain isn't a perfect camera. It's an efficiency machine.
It filters things out.
Constantly. It filters out 99% of what's around you so you can focus on, not getting hit by a bus. But that filtering can also lead to mistakes.
Like seeing a face in a cloud, that kind of thing.
Pareidolia, exactly. Or misjudging distance and thinking a drone is some superhuman object. But what if some people's filters are different?
This is where Dr. Gary Nolan's work comes in, right? The research on so-called high-functioning experiencers.
Yeah, these are pilots, intelligence officers, people who report credible sightings. And Nolan's research found something fascinating in their brains.
Okay.
He found an unusually high density of neural connections in a very specific part of the brain, the caudate putamen.
Whoa, hang on. The caudate. What? You got to break that down for us.
Right. Think of it as your brain's deep intuition hub. It's not about logic or language. It's about pattern recognition, gut feelings, that sense when you just know something without knowing how you know it.
So more connections there means what? A stronger intuition.
That's the core of the antenna theory. It suggests that this dense wiring makes certain people biologically receptive. They're like a finely tuned radio that can pick up a signal everyone else's brain just dismisses as static.
So contact might not be random. It might be happening to people who are, for lack of a better word, wired for it.
That's the hypothesis. And it could explain another really weird, very common part of these encounters.
You're talking about the Oz factor.
The Oz factor, yes. This is the report that right before a sighting, the world goes completely silent. Birds stop chirping, cars seem to fade away, just total silence.
How is that even possible?
Well, neurologically, it looks a lot like something called sensory gating. That's when your brain actively dampens outside noise to focus on one thing. The theory is that the phenomenon, or its technology, might be generating a field that forces your brain into that state.
It's hijacking your attention.
It's creating a forced meditative state, shutting down all other input so you can only pay attention to the interaction.
And the interaction itself.
Yeah.
The actual communication.
Yeah.
It fits this model perfectly. People almost never report hearing a voice.
Never. The descriptions are always things like instant packages of information or whole block concepts that just arrive, fully formed.
Like a download.
Exactly. It seems to bypass the language part of our brain entirely. It's not a conversation, it's a direct transmission of meaning. Very similar, actually, to states that advanced meditators report.
So these aren't just scattered one-off stories. There are clear patterns here, right? We have statistics on this.
We do, and the consistency is stunning.
Yeah.
In large surveys, you see about 37% of experiencers report two-way telepathy. Another 34% report those downloads we were talking about, often without anyone even physically there.
And the pattern gets even more specific and, frankly, stranger when you look at what people call the abduction script.
Yes, the details are so consistent across cultures, across decades. You have the report of missing time. People look at their watch and realize 2-3 hours have just vanished.
And sometimes there's physical proof, like their watch actually stopped at the beginning of the event.
Correct. And then there are the screen memories. This is fascinating. Under regression therapy, a person might first remember seeing an owl at their window. A big, strange owl.
Okay.
But as they go deeper, the memory of the owl dissolves, and it's replaced by the classic image of a gray alien. It's as if the mind, or something else, puts up a less terrifying image as a mask.
That's deeply unsettling. And what about the timing? It's always around 3 in the morning. Why that specific time?
Well, think about what your body is doing at 3 a.m. That's your moment of peak melatonin production. You're in your deepest sleep cycle. You're also most likely to be in a hypnagogic state.
That's the state between dreaming and waking up.
Exactly. It's a state where consciousness is incredibly pliable, where your brain is naturally suggestible. If you wanted to establish a quiet cognitive contact with minimal resistance, that's the window you'd choose. You'd use the body's own chemistry.
Okay, this is getting weirder. What about the hitchhiker effect?
Ah, yes, that one. That one really challenges the simple nuts and bolts ET idea. This comes from investigators at places like Skinwalker Ranch.
These paranormal hotspots.
Right. And what happens is, these investigators, these very grounded, skeptical people, they go home and the strangeness follows them. Poltergeist activity in their house. Shadow figures, things their families see too.
So it's not in their heads.
It suggests the phenomenon isn't just a craft you see in the sky, it's something that can attach, like a virus, but a virus of consciousness. It suggests it might be interdimensional, not just extraterrestrial.
But we have to be clear here. This isn't all just in the mind. There is a physical component. We have hard data for that.
Absolutely crucial point. We have decades of reports of real physical effects. Car engines dying, compasses spinning, the entire electrical system of a fighter jet going dead, like in the 1976 Tehran incident. That's not a hallucination. That's a powerful electromagnetic impact.
Okay, that is a lot to get your head around. And if this is resonating with you, now's a great time to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next deep dive.
And if we pull the camera back even further, these stories, these patterns, they're not actually new at all.
You mean historically?
Yes. You look at indigenous traditions, they have stories of the star people coming down to impart wisdom.
Or shamanic journeys to other worlds where they meet intelligent beings.
Precisely. Or think about medieval Europe. You have countless tales of being taken by the fair folk.
The fairies, right?
And what do the fairies do? They paralyze you. They take you away for a period of missing time. They perform strange procedures on you. It's the same script, the same underlying structure.
So the phenomenon might be constant, but the label we put on it changes with our culture.
500 years ago, it was fairies. Now, in our technological age, it's extraterrestrials. The lens changes, but the experience itself seems to persist.
And that persistence, that elusiveness,
Yeah.
it's what pushes us toward these more, let's say, fringe, theoretical models, like the interdimensional hypothesis.
Right, the IDH. The idea that they aren't traveling light years to get here. They're just shifting, popping in and out of a dimension that's right alongside our own.
Which would explain how they can just appear and disappear in an instant.
It explains that. It explains things moving through solid walls. It accounts for a lot of the high strangeness that the simple ET model just can't.
And then you get even further out there with something like the simulation hypothesis.
Which is, a very speculative but inspiring thought experiment. If our reality is a kind of computer code, then these NHI might not be breaking the laws of physics.
They're rewriting them. They're the programmers with administrator access.
Exactly. Which, again, would perfectly explain something like the Tic Tac's impossible acceleration. It's not accelerating through our physics. It's just had its coordinates changed in the code.
Okay, but we have to play devil's advocate. We have to address the big, obvious challenge to all of this.
The lack of a smoking gun.
Yeah. If this is all happening, if these things are interacting with us electromagnetically, where is the hard proof? Where's the artifact that we can all study? Where's the crystal clear, unambiguous video?
And that's the strongest counter-argument. There are very solid psychological explanations for many of these reports. We know what sleep paralysis feels like, and it maps almost perfectly onto many abduction accounts. The feeling of being held down, the presence in the room, the hallucinations.
And hypnosis, which is used to recover a lot of these memories, is known to be able to create false memories.
It is. It's a huge complicating factor. But then you come back to the central problem.
The consistency.
The staggering consistency. Why do people in Brazil who've never heard of the phenomenon in America describe the exact same being, the exact same procedures? The purely psychological model struggles to explain that shared data.
Which brings us to this idea of the phenomenon as a mirror, a trickster.
It does seem to be reflective. Look at the split. And the military looks at it and sees a potential threat, a national security issue.
And they get jammed radar and intimidating flight maneuvers.
But experiencers who are often looking for meaning or connection, they report receiving messages about spirituality, ecology, the oneness of everything.
So the phenomenon shows you what you expect, or maybe what you fear to see.
It seems to reflect the consciousness of the observer.
So, wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway for you listening to this? Our deep dive suggests that maybe contact isn't this big event we're all waiting for.
It's not going to be a spaceship landing on the White House lawn.
It might be an ongoing process, something that's been running in the background of human history all along. And the real barrier isn't the distance between stars. It's the limits of our own perception.
That really is the core of it. It asks us to shift our search from just looking up at the sky to also looking inward, to questioning what our own consciousness is truly capable of.
And that right there is what every My Mind MashUps deep dive is about. Sparking curiosity, challenging assumptions, and expanding our understanding. Maybe we're spending all our time scanning the skies for radio waves. Well, they might just be sliding into our DMs via dreams. Like, comment, and subscribe to hear more My Mind MashUps deep dives.
Find My Mind MashUps everywhere you listen. Amazon Music, Audible, Facebook, Pocket Casts, Spotify, TikTok, and YouTube.
And please, drop your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective could genuinely shape our next deep dive.